How were these kingdoms administered? The basic unit of administration was the village. Land and revenue were important for these rulers. Kings took steps to win the support of the men who were powerful, whether economically, socially, politically, or militarily. Some of the steps were: some important posts were hereditary. For example, Harishena was the Mahadanda Nayaka or chief judicial officer like his father. One person could hold many posts. Harishena was a Mahadanda Nayaka, Kumar Amatya, meaning an important minister, and a Sandhi Vigrahika, meaning a minister of war and peace. Important men had a say in local administration. These included the Nagar Shrishti, or chief banker, the Sartavaha, or leader of the merchant caravans, the Prathama Kulika, or the chief craftsman, and the head of the Kayasthas, or scribes. Some of these powerful men grew strong and set up independent kingdoms. A new kind of army. Like earlier rulers, some of these kings maintained well-organized armies with elephants, chariots, cavalry, and foot soldiers. Some military leaders or samantas provided the kings with troops when needed. They collected revenue and used it to maintain equipment to be used in time of war. They were not paid regular salaries, but received grants of land. Whenever a king was weak, samantas tried to become independent. Assemblies in the southern kingdoms. The inscriptions of the Pallavas tell us that there were local assemblies including the Sabha, Ur, and the Nagaram. These local assemblies functioned for many centuries and were controlled by rich and powerful landowners and merchants. The Sabha was an assembly of Brahmin landowners which functioned through subcommittees looking after irrigation, agricultural operations, making roads, temples, etc. The Ur was a village assembly in places where landowners were not Brahmins. The Nagaram was an organization of merchants. Ordinary people in the kingdoms. The lives of ordinary people are also depicted through plays. Interestingly, the kings and most Brahmins in these plays speak Sanskrit, while women and men other than Brahmins speak Prakrit. Kalidasa has depicted life in the king's court. His most famous play, Abhigyana Shakuntalam, is the love story of King Dushyant and Shakuntala. The story tells of a fisherman who carries a ring to King Dushyant, which was accidentally swallowed by a fish. On seeing the ring, the fisherman is rewarded. The Chinese pilgrim Faxian writes about the plight of the untouchables. They were expected to live on the outskirts of the city. He would strike himself with a piece of wood to announce his arrival, thus separating himself from the high and mighty. Banabhatta provides the details of the king's army. As the king travelled, he carried enormous equipment. Apart from weapons, he carried items of daily use like pots, pans, furniture, golden footstools, food, and also animals like goat, deer, rabbits. Vegetables, spices were carried on cart or animals like camels and elephants. Villages provided hospitality throughout the way with gifts like curds, gur, flowers, and fodder for animals. They also tried to lodge their complaints to the king. Elsewhere, although a desert, Arabia played a major role for centuries, being at the hub of communications. Arab merchants and sailors played an important role in the sea trade between India and Europe. Others who lived in Arabia were the Bedouins, pastoral tribes depending mainly on hardy animals like camels. Around 1400 years ago, the Prophet Muhammad introduced a new religion called Islam in Arabia. This religion, like Christianity, laid emphasis on equality and unity of all before Allah, the one supreme God. A sacred verse from Quran says that all those men and women who are devout, patient, constant, who humble themselves, who give in charity, who fast, who engage in Allah's remembrance, for them Allah prepared forgiveness and reward. Within 100 years, Islam spread to Africa, Spain, Iran, and India. Arab soldiers conquered Sindh in present-day Pakistan about 1300 years ago.